Can you imagine? Can you imagine the Lion King, but like Scar cooks Timon and Pumbaa?
See, I don't know if you said that.
You can add it.
Is that our cold open?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everyone. It's episode 166 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
It's like the worst thing I've ever said.
It's not.
It's not.
I'm Tim Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
I was hoping you'd say it was. I feel very validated.
It's not a valid statement.
Why not? I thought you meant the first part.
No, yeah.
I'm in Victor Frankenstein inspired garb. My scarf carries his story of all the wrongdoings he did against Elizabeth in Clerval. And
you're watching the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the January OAC episode of the month. Because it's January. And Malachi's message.
Yeah. It's part 1 month, as January sometimes are wont to be. So, episode 862, In a Sun-Scorched Land, part 1, written by Kathy. And she's, dipping her toes into, like, the foreign drama stuff again.
Oh, I know you're not gonna say Promised Neverland spoilers in this episode.
No. So, what happens this episode?
So, it opens up with Matthew, and he's trying to, like, win a science fair contest or something like that by inventing something, and it goes real bad. And I'm like, man, maybe if you were... No, never mind. I was gonna say Zach Callison, maybe it would have, but... No, I feel like we need to be nicer to the other Matthew voice actors. Every single guy who's voiced Matthew's done a really good job. All 22 of them. So, we find out... Okay, so Matthew doesn't win. He leaves sad. He talks to this guy he runs into named Joseph. We find out Lucia has cancer. A moment to sink in.
That was...
I flipped out. I was like, wait, was that something we knew and I just forgot about it? Matthew's like, I found out yesterday or something. I was like, oh my god.
Like a week ago, yeah. It was very shocking. And they dropped it off screen on the AIOC.
Which I'm assuming that means she's gonna be okay? Unless they mention it in Odyssey normal. I don't know. I don't know. Part of me really wants the OAC to just have, like, major plot beats that they just carry on with seamlessly.
What, you mean,
in the normal show.
Like, finding out about, like how
Jay
Whit's sister died, or Jay coming back, or finding out that Wilson had, like, skin cancer.
Like, what if Whit died in the OAC?
If you die,
they never commented on it again. Whit never showed up ever again in the
We haven't
show.
Established yet. Also, Whitson having another full-time employee. If you die in the AIOC,
you die in real life. I was about to say that, yeah. We don't know that yet. We haven't come across that scenario at this moment in time. It could just be a collective dream for all we know. Renee could just be a
Charlie's
collective
still alive in the main show.
Oh, dang! She just, like, I don't know, went on vacation, but it was, like, a really long vacation ever, and thought it was too awkward.
The AIOC is really carcinogenic, because it gave Charlie cancer, it gave Wilson cancer, it's given Lucia cancer now. It's the AIOC FDA approved.
Is AOC does its cancer?
So yeah, that was really surprising, and that's about all we get in terms of like IRL stuff happening in this episode. Because then the janitor comes to tell Matthew's story, make him feel better. Joseph Calhoun,
he's cool.
We didn't even cut at the end of the episode. It didn't even like cut back to the narration, which is not unprecedented, but it is odd.
I kind of like it.
It doesn't happen much.
I liked it. It wasn't like Bernard where he's a troll.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I'll
tell you the rest
in
tomorrow.
50 days on the dot. And they're like, wait, no.
Gotta come to my Bible study first.
I'm moving away in a week. He was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, that really sucks for you.
Just gotta read your Bible. Gotta read your Bible to find out what
Guess
happened to
your
me when I was a
family
child.
Has to uproot their life and not move away so you can hear the rest of the story.
In case you were wondering, because I definitely was, this does not appear to be a true story.
Okay, I was wondering, 'cause it kind of sounded like
Mhm.
it could be very strongly, more so than a lot of other true stories. So we got this flashback from Joseph that he tells Matthew, and he's just like, one time I lived in this village, and then it was attacked, and they took all our stuff and our animals, and it sucked. And then I escaped, and there's like this really sad scene where like his mom's just like, no, and I'm just like, oh.
Have to go back to get your baby sister, and then like everyone's dead, razed to the ground.
And then Joseph like goes and he runs into all these people, and they're just like, nah, man, we'll look after you. And he's just like, okay, I believe you. And then he runs into this other kid who's like, I don't know,
Also
since you
there,
want to do
yeah.
Promise Neverland, he's the Ray of the group, let's say.
It did feel very Promised Neverland to me.
And
Don't you think so?
I can kind of get what you mean. I mean, more manga Promise Neverland.
Well, I've
not
seen one episode of it.
Yeah, I
so
know.
from my, yeah, they're like.
It's
I
what
actually,
season
I really,
2's gonna be
I
like.
liked the way that it was executed, in that he found out because he like he saw the goat that was cooking there, and he was like, "That's that's definitely my goat. How could it have gotten here?" And it's like, well, maybe they found it, and he's like, "No, because it took us a long time to drive here, and that just happened, and there's no way that." After the attack, they could have gotten from here over there, salvaged it, and come back, which means if it was already cooked now, they took the goat, like, from way before, which means these are the guys.
And then they
who
overhear
attacked
the
it.
guys, and we're
And
like,
he was
we're
like-
the guys!
He figured it out, and he was smart enough to, like, not just ask questions about it.
Yeah, I was...
Which I was like,
I thought
thank
like
you,
he
smart
was
child.
gonna go up and be like, hey, did you kill my family? And
Yeah.
then just get, like, double kidnapped and actually tied up and stuff.
I was so glad that he
Then
had the
he was just
wherewithal.
like, okay, you and me, we're leaving right now. And then they just leave. And I was like, yes. And then the guys are like, oh, they left, we gotta get them. And then the episode ends shortly after that.
Yeah, he, like, sneaks out, and then he overhears the conversation, and they're like, oh, dang, they are the ones that are killing us.
Oh, beans.
Yeah. Oh, big.
He kills my
This is the
family.
biggest beans. And so they run through the fence, and then they're running, and then they're just running through the wilderness still, and then they find another camp that's part of the same militia. Like, I knew this guy couldn't be trusted when...
I thought he seemed nice, and then I felt like a fool.
Well, he's like, yeah, I'm collecting all these boys, only boys, from all these attacked villages, and we're
gonna take him to Paradise Pier, turn him into donkeys.
And he's like,
or Pleasure Island.
we're creating a counter militia together. We're gonna fight back against these rebels who are making our own
army of boys.
And I was like, this is very shady.
Bunch of rowdy boys.
Yeah.
It's fun loving, fun having rowdy boys.
Nope, they're not. So yeah, here's why it felt very Promised Neverland, Victoria. It was the fact that they're like in the bunker together in their beds, where it's like, oh, we're in an orphanage full of all these kids kept behind.
Spoilers, go watch
For the
Promised
first
Neverland.
episode. For the first episode. We're in an orphanage for like all of these kids kept, and we're not allowed to leave. And then we go and we sneak out and find the head of the place, and we eavesdrop on a conversation where they reveal that like they're the bad guys, and then we have to like make a break for the gate to
And it
escape
turns
under
out
cover
they're
of
humans.
darkness. Yeah.
They eat people.
So don't you think that is pretty like paralleled?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that is most of what I had to say about the episode proper.
I don't have much to say either.
They revealed in the wrap that the title is a scriptural reference from Isaiah. And kind of the spiritual thing ongoing through it is that Joseph at the beginning was like, I don't know about like God looking after us because life sucks. And then life keeps sucking more, but Amir is the one who keeps on being like, no, see, God is providing for us. While Joseph is being like, actually, I think things are not great now, personally.
Joseph was the one who...
No, because he's the one who has to develop through the episode, because he's the main character.
I thought he made the change. He was just like, you know what? No, I'm gonna be this one now.
And that's where they find the other camp as part of the same group, and then they go in to try and steal supplies, and then a guy's coming, so they hide in the shed, and he's going to come in the shed. It's very like the end of Lincoln Part 1, I guess.
I guess I somehow got their voices mixed up in the second half, because I was like multitasking while listening to the episode.
The second half of the first episode, to be clear, you mean?
Yeah. So... I'm definitely gonna have to listen to it again. I would have otherwise. This episode was pretty simple, I'd say.
Yeah,
but that's not a bad thing. I really liked it. I thought it was good.
I think the stuff on the video, I think I accidentally put it in the wrong folder because I definitely wrote stuff.
Maybe you did it in your dreams.
Where did I type it? So, in the video documentary, now that I found my notes, I really liked this one. There was the part I didn't enjoy was like, they're like, we're going to have someone from Focus on the Family, Africa, come and talk about, like, the stuff that they're doing there. And it was this, like, old white guy who wasn't even from Focus on the Family Africa. He's like, I've worked with him before. I've been to Africa a bunch of times before. I'm like, so you don't even live there or work with this organization?
I've heard
like,
of
why?
Africa before.
Yeah, I was like, and he didn't talk about the stuff that they said he was going to talk about either, and I was like, this was useless.
Do you think he just, like, accidentally walked into the building? They're like, you're the guy, and he was just like, yes.
Yes.
I
am the guy from Spy Kids 3. It's me, Elijah Wood.
And then he gets killed by lava monsters.
Immediately.
And you're like, oh, well.
And without ceremony. No, in the majority of the doc, which I really, really liked, was Bob and Kathy and Christopher Deal are in an Ethiopian restaurant. It made me want Ethiopian food so bad because it's been so long since I've had it. And they have the same thing that I've had before, which is pretty, like, main dish in Ethiopian food. Which is just like a massive plate of groups of all different types of food on like a giant injera to eat. And then like you'll all just eat like the same dish.
Bread?
It's so there's a lot of focus on injera.
Focus.
On injera in here. It is their like flatbread, but it's a fermented flatbread, unlike, like pita or tortillas or naan.
So it's moldy?
No, it's leavened. Like the bread you normally eat. So it's a flatbread, but it's kind of like a pancake that you only cook for one side, but you let it ferment for 3 days.
Leavened.
Well, that's the thing. It is leavened, but it's not really
pancake.
Tall. But you can let it ferment for so long on like a really thin layer. That it's like becomes a sourdough. So it's like this really spongy, porous on one side sourdough thing. And it's like really moist for flatbread. Like a pancake, I guess. I
can't listen to the word moist anymore.
But I mean, like, it's more like the moisture of a pancake as opposed to like a tortilla or like naan.
Okay.
And so it's like really big, like that big.
Like it's the size of your table?
It's the size... Well, the tables are bigger than that, but it's really big, and all of the food is on top of this single piece. And then you eat it by, like, you tear a piece off of it, and then you, like, pick the food up with it and eat it. So there's no utensils, and everyone is eating off of the same plate. The owner of the restaurant...
Eating the same bread?
Yes.
Bread plate?
Well, the bread is on the plate, yes. So, it's really good. It's really, really good. Haven't had it in forever. So they're eating that, and while they're eating, they like talk about the episode while they eat and stuff. And Kathy was talking about writing and directing the episode, which was inspired by her own sons who were adopted from Burundi and didn't have like the exact same experience of this because they were like 2 and 4 when they were adopted.
I hope they didn't have this experience.
But she was saying like it was inspired by things in general that have gone on in Burundi and other places nearby. And it was her sons who inspired her to write the episode.
Our stealthy boys.
Yeah. And then Christopher Deal...
are very tough and smart.
Christopher Deal talks about the sound design, and it just... having them, like, talk while they're eating as, like, a conversation of 3 people felt so much more comfortable and real than the usual, like, interview on a spinning neon sunburst background that they do in every single other video, including this one with the other guy.
Do you, like, eat while you watched it and you're like, I'm having dinner with people who make Odyssey?
Yeah, a mukbang. Odyssey mukbang is exactly what I've been waiting for this entire time.
I want an episode where Bob paints, and then you can paint along. And it's
painting like, along with Bob Smithhauser.
Yeah.
Or the joy of painting with Bob Smithhauser.
How to paint a dog.
Yeah. So, and then they also talked to the owner of the restaurant because she like explained to them how to eat, and she was like, in Ethiopia, you also like when you pick up the food, you feed each other. But we don't do that here.
I wouldn't be allowed in the restaurant because if I'm picking it up like this, I'm just gonna hold it and be like, oh.
Well, you kind of roll it so it's not like.
And then it's all gonna dump out on everyone's laps, and I'll get kicked out.
Yeah. So she talked about like they pulled her aside separately, and she talked about like what it was like living in Ethiopia and kind of what the culture is like there, and what brought her to America and opening the restaurant and stuff like that. And then in the thing, they talked about...
For once, I have my phone on silent and you don't.
My phone doesn't usually go off, like, audibly during the podcast, which means this might be the first time people have heard, like, the Aram tone go off.
No, you're not supposed to reveal that you're Aram. You fool!
And then the sniper takes the shot from across the way, from atop the grassy knoll,
so it doesn't hit me.
They talked about how to...
Stop. Turn your phone on vibrate.
How to bake injera, which is why I was like, wow, it takes 3 days to ferment it. That is a really long time for a flatbread, let alone, like, a leavened bread. Which,
yes.
It's weird, because they do call it a flatbread, but it isn't unleavened, so that's kind of unusual. So yeah.
They're like me and they can't tell the difference.
It is like a pancake. Yeah, it was like, that is a little bit too much. Making the chapati was easy. I also found out this last week, we were talking about chapati at work, and I found out that it's actually originally an Indian flatbread that was brought to Africa by people who were like escaping the British occupation, and that's how it ended up in like Uganda and Kenya and stuff. I thought it was interesting. Chapati, that was easy to make because that was like a normal flatbread where it's just like mix some flour and oil and water and salt, throw it in the frying pan, 10 minutes later you're done. I'm not going to make injera. That's a little too difficult.
I was just thinking, like, I saw something lately where Australia wasn't real and it wasn't on anything. And I was trying so hard to remember it, and then I remembered it was the New Yorkie short. I think.
Yes, it was.
Unless I remembered that fake,
I
and it didn't
had forgotten about
happen.
it until you said when you said, I was like, yes, but I also do not remember. And then I remembered once you said what it was.
What?
Yeah. So the episode, we don't have to talk about it overall because this is part 1.
It was good though.
Yeah, like you said, it was simple. I think it was one of those ones where it's like, it's very straightforward. There was a plot twist where I was kind of like, I don't trust these guys. I don't trust some of this shady.
I did. And I was like, oh no.
No, it was like just the fact that he was like, we're only rescuing boys.
I mean, if I was
I was like, okay, that
closer
could be.
and
I was like,
not
that.
multitasking,
Yeah.
then I probably would have gotten it.
I was like, that could be a thing, I guess, but that's a little bit suspect. And he's like, yeah, and we're gathering together to create our own army.
Rowdy boys.
We're creating like the people's army. And I was like, oh, they're definitely the ones doing the raids and like generating their own soldiers
Rowdy
to fight
boys.
against themselves. And that's what it was, yeah.
Garbage boys, stink man.
Yeah, so that was that. All right, we're ready to talk about Malachi's message?
Yeah.
All right, coupe.
I missed the previews for episodes so bad because they were always so funny.
There's a very
especially
nostalgic
when,
feel
like,
to them.
The Rathbones were involved, because the thing about them is, like, they made parts that aren't funny in the episode really funny. Because they just, like, they make it sound like a conversation between characters.
Yeah, well, because
that's
they
really
always
random and weird.
They always take
so
the
good.
well, they as much as they can in each episode take the opportunity to do the thing where you like cut together disparate clips and make them sound like they're related.
It was so good. It's like
we're talking, by the way, in case you like the bit in the intro where they like play a bunch of like 2-second clips from the episode, as a teaser. That they do from albums whatever to whatever in the middle of the show.
Like crack videos?
Yeah.
It's like a crack video.
YouTube poop of Odyssey.
But for Odyssey. No, YouTube poop and crack are different.
I know they're different.
Opinion. One is dumb and one's actually funny sometimes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I've never seen a YTP that I was like, that was a valuable experience.
They're always so stupid. And like crack videos, I've seen so many. I used to like binge watch Once Upon a Time crack videos whenever a new episode came out. I was just like, ooh, new things to mock.
But here's the thing.
This is great.
Crack videos are reliant on the addition of like, you know, a reaction noise or image upon it or something like that, which this is not. Whereas
from something else.
YTP sometimes in certain bits consists of just clipping and looping bits of audio pure from the source material, which is why I made that comparison.
I'd say they suffer more from like editing clips and
definitely.
adding things than crack videos do.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes crack videos, like all they do is just like cut a couple of clips and then they add like, I don't know, like some text in the corner. It like crack videos, I'd say, and Just a Pancake, like he kind of makes Kingdom Hearts crack videos.
I guess the point is that crack videos, their humor is reliant on your commentary's addition, and YTP, the humor and the rare times when it is present, is reliant on the source material in and of itself, usually.
Yeah.
And which is why I made that comparison. So we're both right in different ways.
I disagree, and I don't respect your opinion. YTPs are the worst thing in existence.
There are some missed ones that were okay, but they're very different probably than what a lot of the mainline ones are. Remember when we went to the theater,
and then we saw a trailer for a movie or an ad or something that was basically just a YTP? I can't even remember what it was.
Not really.
But it was so garbage.
I probably suppressed it.
It was probably like, no, it was an IMAX theater. And it was like a trailer for a movie, like an actual movie. It sounds like so
trailer. Vaguely familiar.
But it was basically a YTP, and you and I watched it, and we're like, did that just happen? And then we were like, glad we never have to see that again. And then we went to the theater later again, and then we had to watch it.
Was it the trailer for Ready Player One, where they were mashing together all the 90s stuff? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Okay, that's the only thing I can think of. It was the trailer for
Ready Player One. It was so bad. And then, they just sporadically cut various 80s and 90s things. And
the best part of that is that every subsequent trailer, including the movie, we made jokes about, like, wow, this is a great trailer for Ready Player One. Yeah. Which was, I have to say in retrospect, a very funny joke.
It definitely was. I still agree with that.
Okay, Malachi's message.
Also, when we watched like any other movie after that, like, including
oh man, this is a great Ready Player One trailer.
The first thing we said after the actual movie that we saw in the theater, and it was like, And the credits, like, went up and were like, oh, this is the longest trailer I've ever seen. When's the movie gonna start?
We're so funny.
They are
Okay,
funny.
episode 406, Malachi's Message, part
it's
1.
all uphill from here.
Written by Paul McCaskier, and go paint that elephant. What happens in part 1?
Paint an elephant. Eugene and Connie are talking about their various life difficulties, and since Eugene wasn't married yet at this point in time, there was still that odd fan who was just like, hey, Eugene and Connie are in a scene together talking. Maybe they'll end up together.
Probably.
And so then they go into Wit's End, and there's this guy, or is he actually a guy? And he's in the imagination station. And he, like, falls out. I like to think it's, his face just hits the ground, and then it's just like...
So what, Connie's just struggling holding his legs up while his face is on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, Eugene, grab his face, but his twig arms are too weak. So basically Connie's just doing all the work. And Eugene makes a phone call.
Yeah.
I like how Connie I imagine her when she comes in, she just goes like, oh no, and screams while this guy's just like face planting actively on the ground, and she's just still standing there screaming and pointing. She's like, it's a guy! Eugene, do something! And they take him to the hospital, and they call the police and stuff, and then, like, everyone's there. Even Mitch. Not Mitch. So, next scene, hospital?
Tom.
Oh, right, because he's gonna get... Yeah. Okay, so Tom has some kids over at his farm, and the kids are all rowdy boys. They're from Oswald Heights.
Yeah.
And they are going around. They're going to end up at Timmy's cabin and do all that stuff. There's Whit and Connie and Eugene. They go to the hospital, and they're just like, what in tarnation? And they're trying to figure out everything that was going on. And Whit's like, oh, I gotta go do stuff, and then he leaves.
Well, he talks to Malachi, and Malachi's like, I'm an angel.
And Whit's just like, how heavy is that dose that they gave you of whatever they gave you?
Because you know what you do for an unconscious person is give them morphine.
I mean, I'm not a doctor. I can't.
We need to sedate this man. He's too unconscious.
It's like when you're so tired that you're not tired anymore. You just reach that point, like you're so sedated, you just wake up and you're fully conscious.
Yeah.
You know, medical stuff. So then Whit's like, I need to leave right now, immediately, and he gets in his car, and Connie's in the
first
car
Malachi
too.
Disappears. He, like, goes to the doctor, and they come back, and Malachi's good.
And then you see him, like, crawling on his arms under the bed.
Yeah.
It's like, Connie and Whit leave. Whit drops off Connie.
After almost, like, crashing on the highway.
Yeah. And, wait,
Were
with
they...
Connie?
Yeah. Because she's like, Whit, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, because he sees Malachi hitchhiking.
Yeah, for,
and
like,
then...
a glimpse. Under his peripheral, and then he, like, swerves all over the place and, like, spins out into the ditch, basically.
Yeah.
Connie loses her mind very reasonably.
Yeah, I feel that's fair. And then she's like, I'm getting out of the car right now, you go take a nap.
Were they on the highway? Because the cars were going very fast, according to the audio.
I mean...
Of, like, them, like, whooshing by, but they were going from the hospital back to Wit's End, right? Surely they were at the hospital in Odyssey.
I mean, I'd assume they're at the Odyssey hospital. Maybe they're taking, like, a shortcut back to Wit's End.
Via the highway.
Yeah.
It's quick. We can cut around
it's
traffic.
Malachi's way or the highway, and we're not going Malachi's way until part 3.
We can cut away traffic through town by going out of town, driving, like, around, and then back into the other side of town.
Thinking with portals. So then Whit drops off Connie.
Either that or the
like,
speed limits within the municipal area of Odyssey are bonkers.
Yeah, Whit drops off Connie because she's like, I prefer not to die today, thank you. And then Whit keeps on driving, and then Malachi's just in the back, and he's just like, she seems nice, and we're just like, and then it's just like, ba-da-ba-ba, and it says, we'll be right back.
There was really, like, jovial music through a lot of the...
Oh, yeah.
Through a lot of the scenes that feel like this should be tense if you don't know what's going on. And like, I found that very odd.
The previews for, like, the next episodes after that, I feel like also had that problem. Because the music's like, and it's just like, he says he's an angel! Oh, Malachi! And then, like...
Because I feel like there could have been a lot of, like, kind of scary suspense built up about this, like, crazy guy if it wasn't for the music being so, like, goofy during a lot of his scenes where it seems like it should be, like, kind of tense and confusing and mysterious.
I don't know, maybe the tone would be a little screwy if... I guess it is regardless.
Like, literally in the scene where Whit, like, yells and slams on the brakes, it, like, the music goes up and it's, like, flutes trilling in a positive key. And I'm like, this is just not...
I always thought that part was funny. But maybe, like,
I guess it's because it's like, Whit's, like, yelling. It's funny, but it's like, Whit almost just had a car accident for the second time in 2 minutes.
Whit's really bad at driving. The poor people behind him. You know why it wasn't a problem? He was on the highway. Everyone was very far behind him. Because he was just out of control, and they didn't want any piece of that.
Anyways, and then they go to Tom's.
Yeah. And he's just like, go to Tom. And he's just like, what is this? He's like, go to Tom. He's like, fine. And then
yeah.
Go to Tom, and then, Malachi gives Tom his
before that,
stuff,
did you talk about the boys breaking through the cabin floor?
No,
and they were
were
lured down there by Malachi.
Yeah, which I did not figure out when I was younger until I got older.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize.
And I was just like, oh.
He like leans out the door like a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. He's an angel, so maybe he was a literal wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
But with like the big sleeves. So 1 second they're up sleeves, here, and the next they're just like.
He was basically Slender Man.
Hey boys, come down to my cabin in the woods.
Come check out the floorboards.
He's like, I totally won't eat you or anything. They're like, okay, we believe you. And go down.
We're mixing our web series, a bridge series parodies.
And then Malachi's like, well, at least someone believes me about something. They break through the floorboards in Timmy's cabin accidentally.
Yes.
And they find Timmy's necklace.
Kind of accidentally.
Yeah. I have this thing, I don't know if you've noticed, Evan, where I like having cosplay necklaces. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I have, yes.
I'm wearing the Lord of the Rings Ring of Power right now.
Mm-hmm. As you often do.
Yeah. I'm generally wearing a cosplay necklace. And I really wanted a copy of Timmy's necklace, and I was like, but
I know where this is going.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I always thought that'd be like,
I never
really
thought about
cool. Like, I always thought, like, man, it'd be cool to have, like, a coin. And Tom's just like, in a ring of gold or something. I was like, okay, I don't think I can do that part.
That is correct.
And then I was thinking, like, even if I had a ring of gold, I don't know how I'd get that.
You put the gold around the coin. You don't have a ring of gold and you just slot the coin in.
I know, but, like, I don't know who would put
that
understand. Around. Like, is Tom a Smith or something
He had someone make it, I assume.
His middle name is Smith and we just never knew.
It is not.
Everyone with Smith in their name knows how to do blacksmithery.
Yeah.
Legally.
It's in their blood, their ancestral memories, like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
That's the plot of Assassin's Creed, right? Is that everyone knows how to make weapons?
I was gonna say, it's like how everyone in Australia is a criminal. They just don't realize it.
There is also a large indigenous population, I'd like to remind everyone, in Australia, who is not there for crimes.
Yeah, no, I know. You can cut that if you want.
No, apart from that, it was funny.
Thank you.
It's a British colony. I don't feel bad about dunking on them. Um,
I'm
um,
sorry, Australia.
oh yeah, so Whit goes, and Tom was like, "Whit, I'm losing my mind because I found Timmy's necklace."
And then he's just like, "Oh, who's this dapper gentleman?" And Whit's like, "Why?"
Yes.
And then he's
Please,
just,
please don't.
and then
Don't say his name.
Malachi's just like, "One day you're going to have zoning regulation wars with Margaret Fay." And Tom's like, "What?"
Yeah, he's like, dig for me.
They sing that song from Lion King 1.5, "Dig a Tunnel," and Tom's just like, "Okay." I don't know if you've
I've
ever
never seen 1.5.
Yeah, that's what I thought. There was a DVD of it.
It's
in the house in
the
California.
prequel to the Atlas song "Secret Tunnel."
There's a DVD of it in the house in California. Our second visit, yeah, our second visit to Disney, but we just never watched it. Instead, we watched.
Gattaca.
Oh, is that what it was called? I think about that movie almost every day.
It's funny because I hear people talk about that movie like a lot. Actually,
I think I heard someone talking about it.
it's actually like not a super obscure movie, which it felt like when we watched it. But I actually hear people talk about it a lot. We were not super old. We weren't that young, really.
I mean,
I was in grade 9.
I was 12.
Anyways, what is left in the episode? Tom is like, "I'm gonna dig," and that's the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so this 3-parter.
Malachi's like, "You need to dig, you dig," and Tom's like, "I dig," and he's like, "Hey, Malachi hands him a shovel, and he's like, "Good, do it."
This 3-parter, still one of my favorite episodes. It does an amazing job at simultaneously advancing the plots of every main character's arcs, except for Whit, who's static as always.
I mean, it tried.
We're gonna build the transmuter.
And Malachi's like, "This is the most important thing you will ever build.
This is the most character development you will ever get outside of a flashback."
The transmuter to the
inspiration station.
The inspiration station is just like, "I barely ran, so you could run for 3 episodes."
So, while at the same time being an interesting theological exploration, and also being the first episode to majorly set up for the Novacom saga in multiple ways, let alone one.
I think this is the only episode where we've had an angel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know.
Yeah.
It took me a long time.
I just thought the Bim Bam bit. The little boy watching like TV shows on his phone in the middle of an adult conversation. It was like, "Are you sure it wasn't an angel?"
It took me a really long time to first realize that Malachi is on the cover art for this album.
Yeah, you're the one who originally pointed that out to me. I remember being very disappointed after you pointed that out, because my first thought was, "He's not good looking," and I was very upset. I was like, "Connie's a liar."
He's also very low res, so
yeah,
to be fair.
He just kind of points and shadow and
a suit, yeah.
And a blurry suit.
Maybe that's how he looked like. He was just kind of this like amorphous, hard light.
Connie's into cryptids. Mitch never stood a chance. That's why she was into Jason, because he's so gosh dang weird all the time. You know, Connie...
Now that's a headcanon I could get behind, that Connie is just into cryptids, and that's why she has so much trouble.
That's why she thinks Jules is really cool and wants to be closer to her, because Jules is, like, really into cryptids too, probably.
Probably.
Jason's, like, really old and weird now. I think that Connie should be more into Jason than ever, because he's all old and decrepit now, so he's going to become, like, the Crypt Keeper.
Connie and the Chupacabra is the only ship I will accept for her now.
That's why she's so into Halldark. They have so many cryptids.
So, in addition to the fact that, like, all of these major characters get development from this episode.
Connie and the Mothman is a really good ship, though. You're right. She's like, I want someone to sweep me off my feet, and then Mothman dives from the sky.
That's why Keith and Mothman became a huge ship in the Voltron fandom.
I didn't know that was a ship until my friend from creative writing started showing me memes of it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And also
it was a whole thing.
The hippo
I think
the second Madagascar movie, people be shipping him with Keith.
Oh, from second one.
No, the one that's like, oh, looks like blah 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 likes you, and then he's just like, I like him big. Yeah, that part. You know what I mean?
No, I don't remember that part.
Where he's like,
that's okay, Victoria.
You would know. I
don't remember the second movie very well.
No, but you would remember this part if I showed it to you.
Okay.
I'll show you after.
Yeah, I think Ikamaru drew art of like Beauty and the Beast, where like Keith is dancing with the Mothman and like Belle's dress.
Good.
Anyways, it's okay, Victoria.
I remember the name.
So, the thing I like is it's not just like, oh, all of the characters get development because Malachi is coming basically as a plot device.
Do you remember it?
Vaguely. A plot device to be like, oh, here, everyone get your stuff. I'm foisting all of this new information development upon you. Like, all of the characters are already, before Malachi's arrival, they're already in these moments of like big pre-development. Like Connie's already like to figure out post-secondary stuff, and Eugene's like, oh, I'm arguing with Katrina and I need to try and get this job at the college. Jack and Joanne are already like spatting about missions responsibilities. Tom was already having the Oswald's Heights class over because he felt a calling for reaching out to people. Jason was already feeling restlessness. In fair, Jason is always restless, but
every single time Connie has an episode now, she's like, "Oh, I'm restless." I'm like, "Do you need me to push you off a dock?"
And I want to know, where is it going? It felt like it was going somewhere, and I'm like, I don't know if that's Connie? Still a thing. Yeah.
Were we talking about this last episode? Like I was talking about how Connie. End? No, just like in general, how Connie's character needs to change.
Well, now. yes, you were.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
I said when we talked about Much Ado About Jealousy, how it's like Connie had this thing that was building up for a long time, which was her restlessness and her like feelings towards like Penny and Wooten's relationship, and I feel like it felt like it was building up for a long time, and now it's just kind of gone, and maybe it'll come back,
I'm hoping
and still build to a point, because it feels like there should be an end point to it.
It does. And
I hope that happens.
You know what that endpoint's name is?
Maury.
No! Guess again.
Mothman.
No.
Wellington.
I'll give you a clue. Wellington would be very good. I'll give you a clue. He can fly like Mothman.
Jeff Lewis.
Yes. Hot take! Jeff Lewis is Mothman. Him and Connie were meant to be.
It would explain a lot.
It would explain so much. Mothman didn't start off as a Christian. Mothman became a Christian, as we all know. And Mothman can fly. Also, Jeff figured out where those pills were because he can see the future.
When Dr. Graham was trying to...
You can't tell me I'm wrong!
When Dr. Graham was trying to get him to land in the jungle, and he was like, I don't know about this. She's like, it's safe. And he was like, because he could already see what was going to happen.
He knew about all the bad stuff. Dude, this is my hottest take ever. What do you think?
But he wasn't able to stop the Trickle Lake flood from like 2 albums ago because he was like out of town flying for mission stuff, and that's why he couldn't be like...
Oh, he posted online. No one believed him. He tried to warn them.
Well, if his name wasn't like Conspiracy Tom on
that's his middle
online,
name.
Yeah.
What do you think of my hottest take ever? That not only is Connie a cryptid, she's into Mothman, and Jeff Lewis is Mothman.
But she doesn't know yet. That's the tragic. That's the tragic irony of it.
It's like Miraculous Ladybug, where she loves Mothman, and Jeff loves her, but she doesn't know Jeff is Mothman.
This is the most delicious Shakespearean traumatic irony.
Kathy, I need you to write me another Shakespeare episode.
Here's the thing, like, we've seen angels, we've seen different dimensions in this show.
Now
like
we need to
Maris.
see Mothman.
We're like in the same canon as Last Chance Detectives, which implied like
there's a ton of cryptids.
Time travel
Detectives
has implied like that the government has invented technology for time travel, like legitimately.
I wish they
Cryptid's not out of the question.
Chance Detectives.
It's not out of the question.
Last Chance Detectives ended on a cliffhanger.
When you
it
think,
makes me sad.
when you think
really
about the things that are actually canon to the world of Odyssey as a whole, I don't feel like it's unreasonable.
Jason was so good in that episode of Last Chance Detectives.
He was, and it was great because they referenced
all these kids, I need them to help me. It was like Stranger Things.
It was great because they referenced it in Odyssey at the same time that he was over there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, in No Way Out. He was in part 1.
Yeah.
But he wasn't in part 2, and they're like, oh, Jason had to make a last-minute trip, and that was when he was going to, like, so Nevada or New Mexico or wherever.
It was so good.
Okay.
I think it's New Mexico. Dude, Jeff Lewis is a cryptid. This is the best.
It's true.
This is the best thing ever.
Okay.
Wellington's also into cryptids. He would be such a fanboy. No, honestly...
Just let me talk about this episode,
Wellington's
please.
the biggest nerd. He would be a fanboy of cryptids.
Please.
Connie's so suspicious.
What was I
she
saying?
would love conspiracy
We're saying everyone
theories.
is already ready for their development. Jason is already restless. At least he's not old yet at this point, so he's got that going for him here.
The water he was pushed into, it was like the water.
It was that water, the reverse
made
fountain
him
of youth.
Old. He came out of it. He's like, my bones feel so brittle.
It was bone hurting juice. Holy goodness. I like how in this episode they suddenly decided that Connellsville is not only big enough to have like uber urban gang violence and drug issues in a very clearly like big city kind of fashion, not in like a castle guard kind of fashion, but that it's large enough to sustain all this within a single district of the city. Because they're like, hey, have you heard of Oswald Heights before? No? You know Connellsville? It's a lot bigger than you thought it was, because they have a single district of that city is big enough to be like an entire big city in and of itself.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Hot take. Oh, I almost just said something controversial. I almost said I liked Connellsville. Yeah.
I have to kick you off the podcast for
Can
that.
I say I like Oswald Heights' presence in the series?
Yeah, I do, but it's so confusing to me.
That's fair.
I know they're like, Connellsville is slightly larger than Odyssey, but I'm like, they can't make it as urban as it...
Dude, Odyssey gets bigger every single episode we get at the OAC now.
That's fair.
They have a haunted doll factory or
something. I know. They do.
It's amazing. Do you think Connie's, like, had sleepovers there? Like, her and Marcy? Like, they're like, I dare you. Let's see if we die.
Well, yeah, because Connie just wants to find a cryptid in the doll factory.
Connie just wants to make a best friend cryptid.
She just wants a cryptid boyfriend. Is that too much to ask for?
Jeff Lewis is like, oh, you're into cryptids, huh? She's like, yeah, I really love Mothman. He's just like, oh, yeah, he's pretty cool. And
it's like the Miraculous meme where he like tries to talk up Mothman, but then Connie ends up thinking that Jeff is in love with Mothman, like Shatner and Adrian.
Yeah, she just thinks that he's also like a huge fanboy. She
just thinks he's romantic competition.
Yeah, one time he drives to her house to take her to Cryptid Con. It's a couple weeks after the Comic-Con equivalent that they have.
Yeah.
And then he, like, sees her bedroom, and it's just, like, covered in, like, red strings and boards, and there's, like, all these pictures of Mothman everywhere, and he's just, like, so touched. And then he's just like, oh. And then she's just like, yeah, he's really cool, Jeff. Anyway, let's go. He's like, I wish I could tell her, but I would turn to ash if I did. Because we gotta add some
Yeah.
some tension and conflict. And I'm gonna write
There always has to be some meaningless reason why you can't reveal your identity.
I'm gonna write so many fanfics once we're done recording.
Good. Write some Hugo Award nominated fanfics.
I'm not gonna study for my exams. This is more important.
It is. So I also like how this episode is still old enough that they had to phone Tom's house to get a hold of Whit because he doesn't have a cell phone. It's so weird, like that sort of thing in retrospect compared to this.
He doesn't have a car phone though, right?
No, compared to like the show now, even and album 32, I guess is like closer to the beginning of the show than now.
I remember the first
feels kind of wrong, but it's not that far back, and it feels weird that they have to phone Tom to call Whit.
What year did this come out?
I think it would have come out around 99 or 8.
Man, I was not very old at that point in time. I was 30... barely a whisper in the wind.
Yeah, because album 33 is the one with the YAK problem.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's basically like the turn of the millennium.
All these yaks coming out here stealing my Pop-Tarts, TM.
Thinking about...
Oh my gosh. Do you think Harlow's a cryptid? That would explain a lot.
That would explain a lot of things. Thinking about, like, how Malachi arrived in Odyssey in a nicely tailored suit, as they keep reminding us over and over. Wait. Okay, just tell me now.
Do you think Wellington is a changeling and they accidentally forgot to take Wooten away to the fairylands?
No. Malachi arrives in a nicely tailored suit, as they keep reminding us over and over. I would like to imagine a more Terminator-like world where they open the imagination station and there's just like a ripped, naked, unconscious guy in the imagination station.
But he's stuck in the crouching position.
Yeah.
So they can't show nudity.
There's not a lot of room in there, so he's just like curled up into a ball because his muscles are so big. If Jess Harnell was already on AIO at this point, maybe that could have been a reality. They would be like, sure, we'll make him a Schwarzenegger accent.
You know what? I'm really glad they didn't. I personally think Malachi has like a very soothing voice.
Philip Glassboro was amazing casting for this role.
Is he Malachi?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has like such a nice voice. He's just like very chill, very calm, and there's always just like a faint little bit of amusement. Like he gets so much joy from screwing with everyone, and like when Whit almost crashes his car, Malachi's just like, that was entertaining, and he's just like, what is wrong with you? And I love it.
And make sure I'm not mixing up with Phil Proctor because they do sound a little bit similar.
When he sees Connie at the end, and he's just like, hello, Connie, and she's like, hi. She's into cryptids. So I guess that extends also to angels. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Certain angels kind of look like cryptids.
Philip Glass.
Are you sure you didn't invent this name?
AIOO wiki. Characters, Malachi.
How old is he? What else has he been in?
Well, in the show, he's only been Malachi.
Yeah, what's he been out of the show? 'Cause it seems like he's done a lot.
Let us check.
How old is he? I imagined him to be a lot younger. I don't know. He probably was when he...
Yeah, this was also 20 years ago this episode came out. Okay, he has not been in much.
How did you know his name?
Because I remember it.
Okay, that's weird.
I think there's a thing that they say specifically, like they mention his actor by name in some sort of bit in the guide, and I think that's why it stuck in my mind. I didn't look at the guide stuff yet, because I'm like, we'll look at him at the end when we come to the end of it.
It's a cool name. So
it is a cool name, which is also why it stuck in my head.
That's fair.
Anyways, I also really like the touch of how Malachi like asks for Whit instead of like John Avery Whittaker, so he can show like this familiarity, which both allure Whit in, and it's kind of like eerie at the same time, which is pretty obvious that they're doing that in the episode, but it's like, I like it.
I want to talk to J.A. Willikers.
Yeah. And they're like, oh no, it's the other Philip.
Oh no, it's Nega Phillip.
Yeah.
It's the evil one.
Phil the Flam Man Phillips. That's another name that'll never leave your head. No, thank you, Illinois.
Dude, turn your ringer off.
So popular today.
Do you think it was the League of Cryptids? They're on to us.
It is your fault. It is your fault.
I don't regret it. Everyone needs to know about
I love
Jeff.
My favorite thing about Whit in this episode is how like weirded out and disbelieving he is.
I don't blame him.
I'm glad he isn't immediately accepting of, oh yes, of course God sent an angel in a suit to me. This guy definitely didn't hit his head while binging Supernatural.
I mean, I kind of hope no one.
Well, I know, but he's
I kind of hope if someone comes up to you and they're like, I'm an angel, you have at least a little bit of speculation.
I'm just saying, do you not feel like you don't know any people who, if someone who appeared and seemed to be doing things that they couldn't do and claimed that they were an angel with a message for them, that they wouldn't believe them?
I mean, it depends on what they're doing. If someone did like something crazy,
no, I mean
like,
what
I'm
Malachi
an angel,
did in this episode.
Or just like teleporting into. Well, I mean,
I feel like I know some people who would be like, okay, I believe you at that point.
Like,
could be explained.
Yeah, the stuff he did,
but it would be hard to
be explained. I feel like
he was like, if you really wanted to, you could figure ways that it technically could have happened, but it would be like.
I mean, like
hard.
him beaming in my car like he's on Star Trek. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're an angel. I believe you.
Yeah, but I really like that they made Whit like. Apart from Jason, I think Whit is the most skeptical out of all of them. And
Jason is very good in this three-parter. He has some of his best
and he hasn't shown up yet. But yeah, apart from Jason, Whit is the most skeptical, which I really appreciate. Because I feel like, on the one hand, it's easy to stereotype, like, oh, he's, like, the most, like, godliest character in the show, the most spiritual one, so he should be, like, the most willing and ready to believe that, like, someone says an angel, then, yeah, God sent us an angel. But part of faith is being, like, really questioning and skeptical and testing things, and that's an important part, and I'm really glad that they showed that with Whit.
I remember when I was little and I first heard this episode, I was always like, yeah, of course he's an angel. Why doesn't anyone believe him? Jason, Whit, come on, get with it. And then now, like, listening to it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I would not believe him either until he, like, beamed into my car or something crazy, like, knowing something you shouldn't know.
Yeah, well,
like,
the Tom stuff was pretty, like...
Yeah, with Tom, and we're just like, I knew about the necklace.
Like, you could not have planted this happening.
Yeah.
It was great callback stuff to bring back, like, talking about, like, the Johnny Appleseed lore from Timmy's Cabin and the stuff from No Greater Love to bring about the birth of the Timothy Center. And then to later use Tom finding the box would go on, and, like, Timmy's journal would go on to be the catalyst for connecting Passages and Maris to the audio series.
I forgot Timmy went to Maris.
And Tom having met Ben Shepherd all those years ago and stuff was because of fixing Timmy's Cabin and stuff.
I love Timmy. He's just, like, a really solid character.
There's
even though
so
he's
much,
only
like,
ever
cool
been in, like,
stuff in this show that's been tied into him, even though he died before the show started.
Yeah. Timmy's one of the coolest characters in the show.
That we never get to see in present day.
He's actually been in 3 episodes, which is a shame. Also, he's cursed with the young Eugene plague, where every time he appears, all of 2 times, he has a different voice actor. Ooh!
All of these notes begin with, like, I also love, because these are great episodes.
Have you only ever got young Connie in just, like, the 1 episode?
I think so.
It's weird.
Yes, it is.
Because we've gotten young Eugene. I guess that's because Eugene
we
has, like,
more stuff about his backstory
crazy
and youth.
Backstory,
yeah, exactly.
And Connie doesn't.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah, I was a kid, pulled some pranks, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I also have always loved the little touch of how Malachi analyzes his status from Whit's perspective using the classic C.S. Lewis trilemma of, am I a madman than this? Am I a liar than this? Or am I a truther?
Can you explain that to me again? Because it's always kind of...
C.S. Lewis talks about Jesus, and he's like, we know Jesus said these things, so the only 3 possibilities are that he was crazy, And he's like, and then he looks at like the way people treated him, stuff like that. I was like, it wouldn't make sense for people to have treated him like this or for him to have done these certain things if he was crazy. So that's not true. Or he could have been a liar. But then if we look at these things, it doesn't make sense. Like, he wouldn't have done these things if he was a liar. And the only other possibility is that he was telling the truth. And so Malachi kind of analyzes himself from the same way. He doesn't say, like, I can't be these things, but he's like, you're wondering if I'm a madman, in which case you want to pull over and call the police, or I'm a liar, in which case, like, you know, you're wondering what I'm trying to manipulate out of you, or, you know, I'm telling the truth, I'm actually an angel. This was also the first episode to reference Whit's essay of Men and of Angels, using an excellent quote, "Faith rests not in sensational miracles, but in the everyday activities of men and of angels." And this essay would later go on to be referenced in The Triangle, and I think at least one other episode later on.
I only remember it being talked about in The Triangle.
I feel like there's one other time. I think it might be post-hiatus.
It might be.
I like when Tom is hearing Malachi explain all this stuff that he shouldn't know, and Tom is like, how does he know this? Whit, how does he know this? And there's one of those times when he asks it, when, like, Malachi hits on something, like, about Timmy personally, and then when Tom asks it, there's a brief moment where his voice becomes very emotionally angry before Malachi's words, like, bring him back to it, and it's a really good expression of Tom's well-established character trait of expressing, like, discomfortable emotions surrounding attacks on his family through really aggressive anger, like we've seen through Richard Maxwell over and over, and we saw towards Whit during, like, mid-battle lines when he thought that he was trying to, like, take Agnes's health away with the Nova Box.
Yeah, Tom's just, like, a really good character, because I feel like now...
He's a very round character.
Nowadays, we don't really have any angry characters like Tom. Like, if... I'd say the angriest character we have now, like, main character, is either Connie or Penny, probably. Maybe Eugene. But, like, whenever they get angry, it's just, like, for a moment or something like that. But, like, Tom, he had, like, arcs to his anger.
Years of grudge against Richard Maxwell.
It was like, oh, in 20 albums, I'll get over being angry at you. And then it was, like, so satisfying when it happened.
The sad thing was, like, with No Greater Love, when it's like, oh, we can see from the patterns that we've seen before, we know he must absolutely hate PD. Yeah. And then we find out that all of those, like, his normal, like, aggressive anger and hatred that he has towards people who hurt his family, he blames himself, which means he was directing all of that at himself for all of those years with the same intensity that he did it, more so than the others. Because, like, in the other, like, Agnes didn't die in Battle Lines, and the horses didn't die in 5, but Timmy did die.
Colt afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, not the 2 mares.
Yeah.
There was another horse involved.
Yeah, based on, like, as I remember the Bible, I'm pretty sure Joseph was not the son of Leah and Rachel.
I mean, I hope not. I don't think that's...
Conspiracy.
No. I don't think that's how that works. I really like... If you look around enough, you can find them. All those headcanons about, like... all the things Richard would have done if he returned to Odyssey, like helping out Edwin and the theater, or
I can put a screenshot of that post up on here.
Working on Tom's cabin. I like to think, like, if he did return, Tom would show him Little Joan, then he could be like, oh, I'm glad your horses got out.
And then
give me sensitive Richard Maxwell.
Yeah, that's about all I have to say about this episode. Jason and Jack and Joanne have not yet shown up. Katrina hasn't shown up yet. At this point, there's way more, like, kind of incidental, like, initial plot stuff that I thought would be in this episode that hasn't even shown up yet in the first part.
Do you want some tea?
Always.
I don't like Katrina in this 3-parter.
It's because she's too, like, focused on her father? Or...
I just kind of thought she was inconsiderate of Eugene's feelings. I thought it was, like, maybe... Like, I get why it happened, but I always thought it was a little bit maybe slightly out of character for her and a little regressive.
I feel like that is something that, like, I mean, and they pointed out in the episode, that is something that does happen in real life and that is specifically, like, brought out in the engaged phase of a relationship.
Yeah.
That, like, does that, like...
I mean, how long have they been engaged by this point, though?
They got engaged in 29, but I think this is the first time... Well, I think apart from Wrapped Around Your Finger, this is the first time we've really seen them since then.
Like, I
and
feel
The Graduate.
like this is something that would either happen...
The Graduate and Wrapped Around Your Finger. So this is one of the first times we've seen them since they were engaged.
Okay. Never mind then, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like something that would happen earlier on in their relationship to me.
No, yeah, I get why it might not happen until you reach the phase where you're like, oh, this is forever. Like, until the engagement stage happens. Because when you're dating, you might not be thinking so much about that. And once it kind of, like, sets in emotionally, kind of the depth of it, that's when it kind of brings out that kind of, like, comparing your partner to your parents, and then I can understand it.
I mean, it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because, like, Armitage is a real sensitive spot for Eugene.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm always like...
Katrina knows that.
Yes.
And she went, like, really, really hard on him.
I feel like she's also very stressed because she's, like, going back and forth between Chicago and Odyssey right now. Yeah, and she's like, I just want you to get a job so I can be in a place and not have to, like, be on a plane every day.
Yeah, part of me is just like, I don't know what situation she was in at that moment.
I can understand the extenuating circumstances that led to that.
Another part of me is just like, but if she's stressed out, then why didn't we get to see more of that? I don't know.
I understand, like, but I'm sympathetic to her.
It's a struggle of, like, what you see going on
versus,
intention.
Yeah.
And then what you actually get.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, you talk about a movie, like, I think a big one is Blair Witch 2, where people are just like, oh man, the concept was so good, and, like, they had all these, like, different things that were gonna go into it, and that's why it's a good movie. And it's just like, yeah, it's like, but you didn't. Like, what the concept is good. What they actually made is not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this weird, like, I don't know, disparity between, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Between, like, the two things. I don't know if that applies in the circumstances. I don't know. Like, I get why Katrina being like this is necessary.
It's different, but I see what you mean.
And it is a facet of her character. I just kind of personally feel like it's something that would have come up earlier than this point.
I definitely wouldn't have opposed if they were like, hey, we'll give you more episodes with just Katrina and kind of showing her stress and what she's going through right now.
I would have been totally...
That would have been amazing.
It was like writing Eugene letters and being like, this is what's going on with me. That would have been good. Especially since this was still kind of the experimentation period, wasn't it? In writing? Or have we not gotten there yet?
That'll be next album. Okay. Because that's when the split episodes start.
Never mind. So, like, they didn't have the new writers? Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, I mean, they had some new writers with the new hiatus starting at 29, I think, but I think 33 and 34 was really when that was, like, that was the heart of that.
Okay, never mind. I don't know. Gloopers just seems like a very experimentation episode to me. But, like, I think that's part of why I love it, because it's so weird and unlike any other episode.
Okay, we need to end this.
32 is a really good album.
It's a good album.
It's like, we got
Malachi's Message.
We got Buried Sin. We got Not So Trivial Pursuits.
So Malachi's Message, we got Telemachus.
Pursuits, we got Telemachus. I feel like there's more. We got
there's
BTV.
More episodes. But...
We got BTV. Which one?
Forgiveness?
Compassion?
No. Compassion's 27.
That's probably Forgiveness. And The Tower?
Yes, it is in this album.
Like, every single episode in this album is really good. I think this is one of the best albums the show's ever done.
Well, it is called Hidden Treasures.
I mean, not so Hidden Treasures. They're all great.
Okay. So, yeah, that's everything we have to say about that. Obviously, we're not rating it and stuff because, once again, this is part 1.
No ratings for you all today.
What are we talking about next time, Victoria? Do you know? C'est un livre that I asked about.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. We're talking about, finally, the first young John Avery Whittaker novel, The Trader's Treasure, I believe it is called.
The treasure.
So yeah, we're finally talking about that. Also, we're only like, tomorrow or the day after is when the next Blackguard book comes out.
Oh, it's also when my exam is.
Yeah. Well, we won't be reviewing it for a little bit because we have to catch up on like the February and March.
Not if
Stuff.
I read it anyway.
Yeah. Well, wait till your finals are over and then we can find out what happens. So what will be in the battle now for that, right? Because we did Eugene's Dilemma, Connie Goes to Camp last time, right?
Well, we have to do the Nemesis.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
And then
I assume this book will just cover the Nemesis part 1 and 2.
probably, dude, we get more. I never thought I'd say this and be so hyped. We get more Glossman. I never
They
thought
made
that
him
would be
sympathetic.
I never thought that'd be something I'd
Forgot
be
about that.
excited about. Like it. I liked Glossman. It made me love Glossman. It made me
Man, these
like.
books are wild.
It made me interested in Glossman's character on a level I would never have otherwise been.
Uh-huh.
And don't even get me started on how hyped I am for Richard. And Lucy. Lucy's gonna be so good. And we're gonna get Donna.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get new Donna content. That's cool. Because she sees, like, oh wait, no. That already happened.
Yeah.
Darn it. Okay, never mind.
Connie Goes to Camp wasn't really much in the book. It was basically just Eugene's Dilemma.
Honestly, I'm okay with that.
Well, it would like more focus on some of it, at least, like the
I mean,
Lucy-Connie relationship, getting inside Lucy's
yeah,
head to set up
that's-
for her relationship
I
with
feel
Richard.
like we're gonna get more of that.
Yeah, maybe it'll be flashbacks and stuff. I'm sure she'll talk about it or internally think about
Honestly,
it. Anyways,
I wholeheartedly trust the Blackguard books with where
It's
they're
true.
going, except I just remembered the prophecy. I don't think I trust that.
I forgot about that. It's this
I'm
ancient text.
crying.
This ancient text, thousands of years
I'm
old. We
crying.
finally translated it, and the only thing we could read on it was
Oh
John
my
Avery
gosh.
Whittaker.
Do you think that's how Malachi knew Whit's name? He wasn't actually an angel. He's like, I saw the prophecy. Oh my
Forgot
gosh.
about that completely. Thank you for
I
reminding
think
me.
I repressed that until this moment.
And then it burst out of you like a xenomorph.
Oh.
Okay, so next time we're
Now
not
I'm just in pain like John Hurt after the xenomorph
Next
burst
time-
out of him.
Next time, sadly, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Young Whit, which I'm also excited about, because you know what that means?
Oh, the origins of the prophecy. We
We find
finds
Whit.
cryptids.
Whit is going to write the prophecy down. He's going to bury it in South America.
Jack.
It means young Jack.
Jack.
It means young Whit. Probably means young Wilson and young
Ooh.
Charlotte.
I'm gonna cry.
And what's his name? Starts with an L.
Laszlo.
Yes, Laszlo Farnsworth.
I want so much Laszlo. I want Laszlo to have this old pocket watch that his fiance gave him, who's
Mhm.
now in England or whatever.
Yeah,
And he's just like, but I have to follow the guy.
to follow
'cause
Whit.
I
Otherwise,
have to
Whit's going to hurt her.
follow Whit, because he's the one about in the prophecy.
Okay, that's what we're doing next time. Until then, thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube.
I'm
I've been
so excited for these kids to find cryptids.
Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Maltzner.
Jeff Lewis is the Mothman. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
And you've been watching the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.